Also pretty into choral singing and just musical theater and that kind of thing. So I obviously really like performing arts and that kind of thing. So it just kind of made sense in my mind that this was something I wanted to do, sort of a combined hobby of, gaming and some sort of performing arts oriented thing, right? So, of course, YouTube and Twitch was always a thing that I found intriguing to me. Going through university, I was very much a nose in the books kind of guy. And I never really, I don't know, I never really gave myself a chance to do much in terms of like exploring my hobbies with gaming or streaming or anything like that. And I also didn't have too much of a budget to work on in terms of like having a computer. All I had was a little flimsy Dell laptop. But in university is kind of where I started getting more into competitive games. On that flimsy laptop, I played a lot of maybe the chat will be familiar with this game, Paragon. It was pretty high end in the scene for that game. Played in some tournaments, in between classes and stuff. May have missed a few homework assignments as well, but yeah, for the most part, like that is kind of what got me started and hooked on being more geared towards the PvP side of games. I'd always liked that stuff as a kid, like Smash Melee and stuff, but I had never taken a huge dive into it until Paragon. Guild Wars 2 was also a game I played pretty high end. And yeah, I mean, once I actually completed an internship on before my last year of college, I finally had enough to buy a computer. So like an actual desktop computer, one that could actually, connect to Ethernet, run a stream, make some videos. And that was like a dream come true for me because it was something that financially just didn't make sense for me up until that point. So it was really cool to finally have that opportunity. And, just like me and my roommates, we started streaming like old school RuneScape and whatever we were playing at the time to, like one or two of our friends that were, down the road watching on their computer. Obviously not a huge audience. But it was just something super fun to do and something I found a lot of joy in. So fast forward a little bit, graduates from college. I moved to New York City, and that's kind of where, obviously I brought my setup. And when you move to a big city after being an Arizona suburban dweller like I was, you you sometimes have a hard time kind of finding your own speed in the city. It's a very fast-paced city. And I found that streaming was a good outlet for me to connect with my friends that, after university, you split ways, you go different states, like everybody goes and gets a job and wherever, right? So, that kind of like gave me a chance to think about that from a more strategic, not just dinking around perspective. So I dabbled in like Twitch streaming and making videos for, a couple years there. But I'd always not like taken it very seriously. But it was always, like I said, with the performing arts background, it was something like that I always wanted to pursue more seriously. And when I'm the type of person, when I do go for something, I like go pretty hard at it. So I was kind of just like browsing around, waiting around for that opportunity that I deemed fit for something that like really fit with me. And I was getting really into mobile MOBAs. I was playing a lot of Arena of Valor, which is also a game developed by the same developer who created Pokemon Unite, and was doing really well in that. So like I felt like I don't know, it must have been all the texting I was doing during my university years that just made me a little mobile gamer aficionado. But that was kind of like, I kind of saw that as like my competitive advantage, right? So my kind of opportunity that I saw, it came in the form of the announcement video for Pokemon Unite. And I remember the exact date, it was June 24th, 2020, because everyone on the internet freaked out. Like, they were like, this game's going to be trash. This is garbage. This is not what we wanted, because everybody wanted Gen 4 remakes. Like, there was a Pokemon Presents. There was zero news on Gen 4 remakes. And like, that's what everyone was wanting. Of course, those came like a little bit later down the road. But yeah, no, it was like Pokemon Unite was initially received so poorly by the internet. Like I think it was Pokemon and Nintendo's most downvoted video ever. So yeah. But being so involved in the Arena of Valor scene as I was, I had a lot of faith in the developers. The game never really caught too much of a stride in the West, but its sister game, Honor of Kings in China, is literally the biggest video game in the world. So I felt like Pokemon Unite was a good thing to kind of make my objective in content creation. So literally from that day on June 24th in 2020, I started thinking about what I could do. I joined Discords, forums, Reddit. I was always talking to people. I made a Twitter. It's kind of when I started being active on Twitter, just looking for any sort of information on Pokemon Unite. I would legitimately scour these, basically the Chinese equivalent of YouTube is called Bilibili. I would be refreshing. I would be F5 spamming that page with a search that, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the game in Chinese, but it was basically the Pokemon Unite name in the Chinese characters that I would just be searching. I was just constantly seeking out information for the game. So, fast forward to March 2021, the Canadian beta gets announced. I'm like, all right, finally. Because at that point, there had been some tests in China that we had super, super limited footage of. And obviously all of that was under NDA. So I couldn't be making videos of that. The people who did make videos got their stuff taken down. And I wonder where those people are now.
You put on a list somewhere, that's for sure.
They're definitely, the Nintendo ninjas might have gotten to them. Who knows? But yeah, so I don't know, it was just something that I got obsessed with. And like I said, like I told you, whenever I kind of get honed in on something, I kind of go crazy with it. So this was that for me. And I saw this as, during COVID, bro, it was rough in New York City. Everyone left, everyone moved home to their parents. And I was honestly one of the last people who was still kind of there, just hanging around. So I really, really, really wanted to do something. What are you laughing at? I can tell you understand the pain.
I feel it to my core. Because I kind of, from just the trajectory of your story, I think you and I are our paths are gonna cross here, and that's recognizing that Pokemon Unite is an opportunity to work off of a clean slate and start at the same starting line as everyone else. And getting some even footing on something as big as a Pokemon franchise game is the real deal. And obviously, we'll talk a little bit about your YouTube channel here in a moment and kind of how it really seemed to find its legs once you started focusing on Pokemon Unite itself. But I mean, you're in the COVID situation now. You are locked down. You want something to do. It's in March. You finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. Man, I might actually be able to get my hands on some action of this game. So where does that put Peak in this scenario or in this storyline? Press forward.
Yeah, for sure. So I, as my stream knows, iOS gamer only exclusively. I don't like Android. I don't like playing on Android. Never like playing on Android, but the Canadian beta was Android only. So of course, I asked around to my friends. I got a hold of an Android phone. I think 12 hours or maybe a day after the beta started, and I went crazy with it. I played so much. I was already heavily involved in the Discords with the people who were excited about the game. So there are a group of us, and a lot of those players are still the people you see on top of the leaderboard, actually, in the top 100. It's funny, knowing those guys back then and how terrible we played, probably. But back then, then we were all stars.
Can you name drop a few?
I shouldn't name drop a few.
Fair enough. But they exist and they're out there and they're doing well.
Shout out to my boy Xavier if you're watching.
Xavier G.
Xavier G.
Legend.
Xavier G _
Absolute legend.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I got so into the Canadian beta. I recorded a bunch of footage, a lot of which I still have on my computer, but I can't show because it's illegal. But yeah, and it's weird to see how little the game has changed. Yikes. But we'll talk about that later. But anyway, like completely loved the game. Like loved the feel. Obviously, it played a lot like Arena of Valor, so I just felt like I was excellent with it because it was just what I was used to. I think it runs in the same engine that they developed AOV in, so it was totally natural to me. And the funny thing was that I will mention about the Canadian beta because like probably like 100 people would know this, and that's about it. But Greninja was so bad in the Canadian beta, or at least that was the perception. But that was like all I played.
Look,
and I was like widely known as like the person who frags on Greninja, but kind of trolling because that character sucks, according to some high-end players. Not Xavier. He believed in the Greninja. But yeah, so pretty funny there. But yeah, so I played as much as I could, honestly. It lasted for 14 days, I think. So I literally played as much as I could. I think, did I get rank 1? No, I got rank 2 actually. Yeah. I was rank 2 in the beta. But you know, it was a small group of high-level players, and I don't think we ever lost. I think I lost one match entire beta. Yeah, it was just like the discrepancy of like skill level was just really, really big at that time. And yeah, it was so much fun. And like you said, like this was the moment where I knew like, okay, my intuition was right. Way back in 2020, I was correct. This game is going to pop off. And fast forward to July, and it did. Like, I mean, you remember it. The game had like 300,000, 400,000 viewers, like at all times during the day. It was actually insane how many people were watching and how many people were interacting and how many people were playing the game. And that proved similar with my YouTube channel. Like, I went from a little 3K Andy YouTuber to like over 20,000 subscribers almost overnight, just because of the sheer interest and the lack of like advanced information about the game. There was a ton of people who would be like, this character's really cool. Pikachu's awesome. But nobody was talking like I was about like the deep numbers, what was actually good, what was going to win you games, how the game should be played at a higher level. And, you know, a lot of people could still benefit from that very elementary information. If you look back on it now, it's pretty simple, but
well, I certainly remember when I put on my Peekmp training wheels and started watching some of those videos, because my lane was completely different. Of course, you're in the content creation, but you're in the playing space. And for me, from my days in the Pokemon TCG, I was doing casting and commentary, and that is where my passion lies. I obviously enjoy the game very much, but I like casting and talking about the game even more. So leading up to the release for me was getting a Unite Mike's logo created, establishing. I had never had a YouTube channel before, so trying to figure out, what that was like. And of course,
commissioning artists, all that.
My goal was to understand where the trajectory of this game was going to be competitively. And to understand that, I need to understand how the game was actually played competitively, right? Couldn't just not understand what was happening, because when I play, I run around with a chicken with their head cut off, right? So I remember my Peekmp training wheels very, very well. Very well.
Yeah, and that seemed to be the general sentiment that I got in all my comments and all the people who came into a Twitch stream for the first time, like I was used to playing stupid games like MapleStory and RuneScape to like two of my friends. And then all of a sudden, the first time I go live, there's like 500 people watching me play Unite when it launches. And I'm like, this is so crazy. Like, this is so different than I ever could have expected or imagined. And that was like the general sentiment. That was kind of like the guru that people would go to learn the game. And I took a lot of pride in that, honestly, because it was something that I saw as like missing from the game, that the lack of teaching, the lack of any form of like significant tutorial or guidance on how to play the game properly, especially given the fact that there was going to be a lot of Pokemon fans, obviously not a dig on you or anyone else, but like who maybe weren't familiar with MOBAs or weren't familiar with kind of how these games are played. Because typically when someone comes into a MOBA, they play it more like an action or like a fighting game more than like a strategy game. And it it really at its core is like a strategy game like chess. Obviously, it's way more simplified, and chess is a way more way more advanced game. Nothing can compete with chess, but that's basically my comparison that I often bring to my viewers, is that it really is a strategy game at its core, in a game of information and resource management. But you know, my channel, like my whole goal was like, okay, my channel is gonna do well. I know this game is gonna do well, but I want to bolster the game as much as I can with informative content. I don't want to hold anything back. I don't want to be the type of person who's gonna be like, not tell you the timers of when something spawns or whatever. Like, I wanted to literally just lay out everything I knew about the game, because at that point I did know everything. Because of how much I played in the Canadian beta, because of how much I researched, because of how much I just like looked at data mined assets and numbers that people pulled from like the beta files. Like, I knew everything there was to know, and I wanted to have as many people like know that, so that my games would be better.
Exactly.
I didn't want crappy games. That was like the whole purpose behind it all.
I mean, you got to build a community. You have the community around you that you want to be in, right?
Right.
You don't want just to necessarily lord over everybody, or be the person known to be sandbagging information for their own short-term personal gain. So respect that completely. Let's take a quick pause, because I want to jump in the Wayback Machine. Maybe it doesn't go that far back, but
For sure.
You can coach me through. One of my favorite questions to ask every single guest, and you dropped it to me that you watched at least a couple episodes to get a feel of what we do here on Late Night Unite. Where does Peek come from?
You know, that's one of those like interview questions, bro, where it's like, where do I come from? Or I can take it literally. So I'll hit you with both.
There you go.
I am a Californian, moved to Arizona because when I was a kid, California home prices were a little bonkers, and that just wasn't viable for the Peekmp family. So yeah, we moved to Arizona, and I grew up in Arizona, and that, like I said, that whole suburban life is kind of like where I was rooted. It's why I didn't quite vibe as much with New York City as I would have hoped I did, even though it was kind of like a dream city for me. I moved back to Arizona. That's where I am now. But yeah, so that's where I'm from. But where I come from, I think, mentally, emotionally, I'm just like I'm the type of person who really wants to make people happy, and I almost sometimes do that at the extent of my own happiness. In fact, I think I do that a lot. But I don't know, not a teddy bear per se, but I'm a pretty like emotional person, and I like my friends and coworkers and everyone I've always met always kind of says that I have a pretty high EQ. And I just like, I don't know. It's always been weird being in my brain, perceiving people like what my brain sees as a million miles a minute. I don't know if that's how everyone's brains work, or if people can sometimes just like chill when they're observing human behavior. But yeah, that's like, I think sometimes my biggest weakness, but also my biggest strength is just my ability to perceive people and just understand humanity and understand perspective. Because, you know, as I mentioned, obviously, I mean, I wasn't a poor kid, but a little old Dell laptop was all Peekmp could afford going to college. And I worked really, really hard academically, like I said, nose in the book kind of guy. I didn't really do much else to maintain a scholarship and obviously financial aid, because, you know, we were at that income level as a family. And I, like I said, was never super poor, so I can't even really say that I, you know, understand the level of like humanity that people who are really shafted in life see. But I just think emotional perception wise, something in my brain, I came out the womb locked in on that. So it's been an interesting ride through the world for me. being able to navigate around around my ability to overthink, over perceive, stuff like that. And I've tried to kind of do hobbies like gaming, competitive gaming, that allow me to kind of use that in a positive space rather than have it be something that frustrates me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So the high EQ, incredibly empathetic, self-sacrificing Peek. Bang. Legend.
I try to be. It sounds very arrogant saying it, but like,
How does that sound arrogant? It's literally
I don't know.
the
It's just like who I am.
Well,
It's who I am. I love people. I have a lot easier time, loving people than loving myself. But I think that's a common case for a lot of people. But yeah, just very much an introvert, but love my people, whoever they are. They know who they are, because I keep them close to me.
Beautiful. That warms the heart. Can I
Sorry to get a little sentimental.
Gonna take a moment and digest
Back to the
that
games.
a little bit. Gonna take a moment and digest that a little bit. Okay, let me pull back a little bit and maybe get something a little, hopefully, I don't know. Could be more emotionally charged. Hopefully it's a little less, to give us some rising action in this conversation. Where does your gamer tag Peek come from? So we've done the emotional, like we've done Peek as a core human being. What is that like? Now let's go with literally Peekmp. Where does that come from? How did that become the gamer tag? And how long have you carried that with you?
That is a great question. It's like a real out of focus here. So it's pretty simple actually. Peek is my last name actually.
Interesting.
And MP is my initials.
Peekmp.
Easy peas, dude.
That's lock it in.
What's so funny is I initially created my YouTube channel back when I was in university, like I said, dinking around on my little Dell laptop with Paragon, with my brother. So my channel used to actually be called Pika Bros. There's like 2 people who probably know that. But yeah, I mean, you won't find anything on that now, but yeah, I like, this was another like lead up to Unite thing. I was deciding like, okay, what is like, I'm going to do this solo. So my brother was like very, very involved in his own things. And this had very much become like a thing that I was kind of taking lead on myself. I did like some Animal Crossing, some Pokemon Masters. That was the mobile game that they released a couple years ago. I did some videos on that with, like I said, mild success. I went into Unite with like 2-3K subs on YouTube. So yeah, but I did like going into Unite decide like, okay, I need like an actual good username that's going to be memorable, simple. It's got to be short and sweet, something I won't want to change later. And you know what? You can't change later your actual name. So
there you go.
I mean, you can, but it seemed incredibly unlikely for me that would happen. So I leaned into that, and honestly, I think it actually worked out quite well. One of my friends actually told me like, no, I don't think that's a good idea, but like I just felt like it was good, so I rolled with it.
It's very clean.
It's clean. It was available on everything except TikTok. By the way, TikTok.com/@Peekmp. If you're listening, please, dude.
Come on.
We'll do anything.
let the man get his name back.
But
his actual name back.
It was available on everything. Short, simple, easy to remember. So, but yeah, I mean, I just go by Peek, because I mean that's actually what people called me in high school. So it's kind of fun going back to that as like my swim team name.
Just like a pseudo time machine. Speaking real quick.
Kind of weird sometimes. But
speaking real quick about the swim team thing, I also swam in high school. What were your events?
Did you? Okay, I did. I did breast and butterfly actually.
Okay, so you had to work hard.
Yeah,
I was a freestyle sprinter, so I didn't. Have to do
nice. Okay, I was always envious, bro. I was just never big enough.
I
could never put on the pounds.
Never had to do any of that hard work. It was just like, yeah, do more of the short stuff. Bang, you got it.
Yeah, I transitioned heavily to swimming from water polo because, like I said, I played competitive water polo like in clubs and like Junior Olympic stuff up until the fact that my genetics of being lanky started started manifesting themselves, and other people's genetics of being giant water polo players manifesting themselves. So like I was excellent as a younger teen, but like as soon as like 16 or so hit, like people started getting yoked, and I just like could not put on pounds. I just like didn't eat. I just sat at my computer, played RuneScape or whatever, you know, like any MMO I could find. Was way into MMOs as a teen. So yeah, like I switched to swimming because I was like, bro, I can't do this anymore, man. I'm getting bullied.
Well, I mean, swimming's kind of fun. And by kind of, I mean, literally only the meets were fun. Because I thought practice, maybe it's just because I'm lazy, but I thought practices were miserable.
Big mood, dude. Big mood. I preferred water polo practice so much more because I was actually doing stuff.
It's like, how do you
At
train
swim
for
practice,
running?
just like
You
I'm
run
head
more.
down, bro. I'm stroking over and over again. It's so, I don't know. I didn't like practice either. The meets were always fun, but that's because like I really came out of my social introvert shell in those later teen years. So those were just fun to hang out with people. But
I mean,
yeah.
the thing with swimming, just like it is with running, how do you train to run? How do you train to swim? You just do swimming more. Whereas sports at least have, some other sports, you know, there's more technical aspects. Not necessarily that, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like a freestyle stroke, obviously there's
I know
technical
what you're
aspects
saying.
to it.
I know
but
what you're
like,
saying.
once
I
you
much
pin that down-
prefer putting the ball into the net and yeah.
Yeah, today we're just gonna, you know, chuck this ball at the net really hard a couple times. You know, we got to
Exactly.
swim some, but
Way
like,
more
we'll do this other
fun.
thing too.
Way more fun.
All right, well, I'm not gonna lie, I took a little bit of a, I don't want to say a deep dive, but a reasonable dive. And one of the questions I found when I've been kind of perusing your YouTube channel here, what is Ninjala? It is something I've never heard of. And you do have a good volume of videos on here.
Yeah.
Along with your Pokemon Master stuff. But Pokemon Masters, people kind of know what that is. What is Ninjala? Actually, you know what? Just for my own personal benefit, because I have absolutely no clue.
Yeah, it is a PvP game developed by the same developers that developed Puzzles and Dragons. And holy crap, did I think this game was gonna pop off. This is like obviously before Unite, and I'm like, oh man, this is the juicer right here. Nobody knows about this. And that ended up being the problem. Nobody knew about it.
Just sad trombone noise. Just
yeah. It, you know, like as you can probably tell from like the view count on those videos, like any new game on the Switch that's free to play, like it came out, was popular, maybe to like a 3 or 4% degree to what Unite's popularity was, you know, but it was my first. That was probably like, besides Pokemon Masters, I kind of just like did that because I still play that game every day. It's just fun. Like it's a gacha. You don't have to play that much every day. But besides Pokemon Masters, that was my first like big dive into like, all right, I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna be the information guy. I'm gonna be the advanced tactics guy. And like I was, again, like lightning struck twice. It's just like it was more like a little spark instead of an actual lightning bolt.
Sure.
For Ninjala, but that's okay. I learned a lot, honestly. I learned a lot of Photoshop during that time, and that was actually really helpful because if you look at the old thumbnails for like my first few Pokemon Masters videos, they are ugly, bro. I did them in Microsoft Paint. Not a good look. But I spent like 20 hours probably, maybe more, taking like these online courses for Photoshop and just learning how to like make some sick thumbnails. So
I mean, they're clean. They're clean.
yeah, the Ninjala thumbnails are honestly a lot better than some of my Pokemon Unite ones. And that's just because like that game is super vibrant, super colorful. Just, you know, it lends to that sort of thing. But yeah, just I learned a lot. It was definitely like my training wheels for content creation, that game. And I was happy with my decision to just like stop making videos for it. I got into their like content creator program. You know, we had to like produce a certain amount of videos. So once I kind of met that quota, I like decided to dip out because I'd pretty much done my work in educating the masses. That game is definitely has a lot younger of an audience than I was expecting, and that just kind of like lends itself to not being taken as seriously as a game and not that many people interested. But
Sure.
It's still a really fun game. Its main issue comes down to like there's like a rock paper scissors mechanic to the fighting. Like you can clash with someone and almost kill them, but before you kill them, you actually have to rock paper scissors and win the rock paper scissors to win. And if they win the rock paper scissors, they can potentially knock you out or get away or whatever. It's a bit silly, but will always be near and dear to my heart for sure.
As it should be. I mean, that the artwork looks great. I mean, I don't know what an
it's a beautiful game.
is, but
Constant 60 FPS. Like honestly, the net code is better than Unite's. It's really nice. Like they did a great job on it. It's a shame that it didn't do better, but that's the nature of going in with a new IP. Like it is what it is. This was something they created from scratch, from an idea I think they had back in 2016, and it just unfortunately didn't end up doing as well for them as they thought. But I mean, they're still updating it every month. So
absolutely,
it's still going strong with this little community.
As I'm looking,
love you, Ninjala guys.
Ninjala for life. S-Blast, is it amazing? Click on that Peekmp video to find out. I'm gonna do that later just
gotta watch
just
it,
get
dude.
myself a breath of fresh air here. But I'm taking a look again through kind of the YouTube, and you really see the big spike. I mean, you have a couple big Pokemon Masters videos, and I don't want to undersell those at all. But of course, this is a Pokemon Unite podcast, so I'm going to try to get us onto those rails here and pressing forward. Your first big Pokemon Unite video looks like it's do not buy these Pokemon at all. 93K, and that was just like a rocket ship into the
easy bait, bro. Absolutely easy bait. Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't a bait though. It was like, don't do this. But what I was explaining was like how you get duplicate coins when you get like a duplicate Unite license, Yeah,
absolutely. So you can pad the pockets, pad the wallet.
That was important to people. It was very important to people, and yeah. I think it's still important to people. Like, do I waste my coins on this Pokemon, this new Pokemon? Do I waste my coins on Trevenant? No, you don't.
Let's take this as somebody that's been in the cut for Pokemon Unite since the Canadian beta. What was your gut reaction when the initial reviews pouring out from other content creators on Twitch? And I think the most predominant here that really got this, I don't want to say rumor, but got this feeling going is that it's pay to play, and that was when Moist Critical picked it up, just dumped a bunch of money into it, said it was pay to win. And I think that's a combination of the game being so new, having the best items. But what was your gut reaction as somebody that was in the beta, that was knowledgeable, that didn't have a bunch of hours into the game? Did you think, hey, this could derail us real quick? Or, hey, if we stand tall, sit tight, like it's going to be fine? Because I actually know that doesn't actually seem to be the case.
I mean, I'm sorry, Pokemon Company, if you're listening, but I knew PR disasters would come if they didn't change a lot of things from the beta, and they didn't change pretty much anything. Like I said, the game in the Japanese stress test, which was that thing like I think it was like 2 weeks right before the game actually came out. The game was exactly the same pretty much, and that got me pretty worried. But obviously, I still loved the game. It was fun, but I saw underlying issues that are still in the game today and still exist, like the paid items, that I wrote in a long essay in the survey back in March 2021 during that Canadian beta, telling them, like, this is a very outdated mechanic. Like, there's a reason all the other MOBAs in the market have gotten rid of this type of mechanic. And it's funny because even Arena of Valor got rid of that mechanic. But for some reason they did not take that out of the game. They did not just like kind of have the held items as unlockables or buyables. I think it would have been fine. Make them a little more expensive, that type of thing. But they made them levelable. And like, obviously when that Moist Critical thing popped off on YouTube and Twitch, and that happened, like, word of mouth is stronger than any sort of influence that you can have as a company. So as soon as like they made that development decision way back in, I don't know, 2020 probably, and as soon as they didn't kind of take precautions to counter that with, doing what they did in December of last year, maybe doing that a little bit earlier. They actually paid a bunch of content creators in December 2021 to play the game, to talk about it. I think if they would have done a little more upfront education, and obviously that would have been a big cost to them, but it would have been worth it, because I genuinely think that is a substantial reason why the game pretty much fell. It didn't fall quickly out of favor, but the decline became very apparent, and then it became pretty rapid. I would say it went in like two phases of like, okay, huge spike down, to be expected, like any new game. Like, I mean, Lost Ark had like 1 million people watching on the launch day. I think it's like 100K now. Reasonable, expectable, but still absolutely performing in terms of metrics and viewership and eyes on the game, which is what you want as any company.
Of course,
you want eyes on your product. But yeah, it was unfortunate. I still loved the game, and I obviously still love the game, so I still play it. But yeah, I saw those warning signs, and I mean, myself and a lot of other people wrote that as our number one thing in the closed beta survey, which is very similar to the survey they sent out like a month within the game release, which you guys would probably be familiar with.
Yep.
Survey is almost identical, in fact. Like, asks for things that we could change. I think that held item question was in there again.
Yep.
Like, did you not see our responses the first time? So yeah, just a little bit unfortunate, but that is a live and you learn moment. And I think that the amount of effort that was put in, they got the results that matched that effort. And I think if a little more effort was put in up front, and obviously not saying this is any individual or even the whole entire whatever team works on Unite's fault, but I think those things definitely have leverage on another effort put in, especially front loading a lot of PR and marketing. I unfortunately, this is even something I talked about in one of my videos, that I didn't see a lot of advertising for the game up to its release, and also when it was doing huge numbers on Twitch and YouTube.
Right.
It was just the general sentiment among myself and a lot of the other creators that are still creating content actively on this game is that we were literally quite literally carrying the Unite scene, because like the Pokemon Company wasn't really active on the Twitter. They weren't really talking too much about it, and that was I think their biggest blunder is not communicating. It's always a problem with game devs, but it's a hard balance to strike. They're working with developers in China, a main company in Japan, a localization team in the Americas and Europe. There's so many cogs there, and I understand from someone who's worked in corporate culture like that, like why that would be difficult and feel impossible, but I do wish that a little more would have been done.
Yeah, they shot out of the starting blocks and just unfortunately tripped off on that first hurdle. However, I do think they've picked themselves up, and I think they're working on finishing this race for sure.
A lot of good stuff is happening, and a lot of good stuff is to come. So it's a good time to be a Unite fan, I think.
I agree. For me, the biggest detriment to that whole pay to win thing, not only are the held items, I mean, they're relevant, but like
very inconsequential.
But yeah,
my focus band is still level 20 to this day.
But there you go, and that's
I keep it level 20 like on principle.
And that's the point I'm working at. I was trying to get a friend into the game. 6-8 weeks after it was released. Kind of once everything settled itself out and people realized, the held items being level 30 isn't actually necessary to execute like a winning strategy. And the first thing I'd hear was like, no, that's pay to win. That's not where I want to be spending my money right now. It's like, hold on. And then you almost have to go through that re-education process of exactly how that came to be and what the story is behind it and why that's not exactly relevant today. But you mentioned, we talked a little bit about your progress up until now, we'll say. Your content creation with Pokemon Unite has been going well. You are pivoting off of that a little bit from what I was seeing on Twitter. Is this a hard turn away from Unite? Is this I just want to add more tools to my tool belt, or give myself a little bit of diversity for increased personal satisfaction in the things you have to do inside and day in and day out?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I think it makes sense for Unite content creators to, branch out, because obviously, like, not that many eyes are on the game as there used to be. It's dropped probably like 99% of what it used to be, and that I think it hurts a lot for a lot of us, like myself, and a lot of the people who got in early and kind of blew up, like we did. It definitely hurts having known like so much success and viewership, only for people to like lose interest in the game, which is something like entirely out of our hands, right?
Sure.
So yeah, I have been like looking for other stuff to do. Like, I'm considering maybe speedrunning Pokemon Emerald, speedrunning some Mario Sunshine on the GameCube. I was thinking Lost Ark would be dope, but I haven't really quite vibed with it yet, so I'm just kind of like playing on the side with my friends. Not something I want to stream. But yeah, and even Legends Arceus was like a game that obviously a lot of people in the Pokemon community are playing right now. I didn't quite vibe with it. Just didn't like it. Yeah, if you guys know me, you know I'm an FPS snob. So like the fact that thing runs so choppy, it's like it's the reason I play Unite on this. It's because I need those frames, man. I need those frames. Otherwise I legit get a headache. But yeah, I'm definitely looking to do some other stuff, but I never intend on leaving Unite. I think Unite is such a fun game. Like, I got a friend into it the other day. This was a few weeks back. She doesn't play like any MOBAs or like anything like that, but has recently, started playing games like Hollow Knight, just like gotten into video games, as like a, I don't know, identity crisis type of thing. Anyway, but she's really enjoying video games, and she loved Pokemon Unite because Pokemon Unite gives you that casual MOBA experience of being able to feel like, hey, I'm playing this Pokemon that I know and love. Pikachu, Charizard, your favorites are all in the game, right? And I'm having a good time. I'm killing people. I got Zapdos. We won the game. I'm scoring goals. It's all, in a very fast 10-minute experience. I think it's such a good casual game. And I think that's the biggest bummer for me, to see that the game has fallen off from a casual perspective. But like these smaller games tend to do, like Paragon did, like Guild Wars 2, PvP does and did. You see the competitive players stay because they're like, man, I'm one of the best in this game. We want to keep playing this game. It's a fun game to play. It's fun to win. Like, it just is what it is. Success is fun, regardless of if it's content creation, tournament results, whatever it may be. But I think it was the biggest bummer to me to just see like my friend enjoy Pokemon Unite so much, and to know that like there's so many people who probably like didn't even think to give the game a try, who could be like having as much fun. Because it's not like a game that needs to be taken too seriously. It's just like, it's fun to kill people with your favorite Pokemon.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's hopefully, I don't know what they could do to have a casual resurgence. I think probably a lot of that ship has sailed. Obviously, new people are always coming into the game. Whenever I stream, I always get someone who's like, "You just started playing the game today. What's the best Pokemon?" I'm like, "Oh, cool." So people are like actively still joining, but I think we'll always miss that flourishing stage where it was really popping off.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest oars to pull are the first ones in the water before you're moving, right? So,
right.
In my mind, because it is a Pokemon title, and if they stay on top of it, it does have infinite room to grow. The IP behind it is so strong. And of course, when you think about the depth of the Pokemon you can select from, if you think of a game like League of Legends, Pokemon literally almost has 1,000 different Pokemon, in theory, available to be created as a character, right? So, from just those axes, I definitely think it has a positive future. It's how we're going to navigate. For me, on a personal level, is how are we going to navigate this competitive structure that they've put into place, 2 Worlds 2022, and then how do you use this next 6 months or so and leverage that into bringing casual players on board to the point where it doesn't feel overwhelming or daunting, and also insulating the new players from the shark infested waters that are the long-term competitive players, because right now, like, that is a pendulum that is swinging both ways, and it's hitting both sides of the group, like both groups in the teeth, and nobody feels good about it right now.
Exactly. Yeah. It's gonna be rough. A lot of people, complain about the matchmaking. It is an issue. But kind of going back to the whole reason I told you that I started the YouTube channel was to educate the player base. It's just a lack of education. Like, in these games, like, knowledge is everything. The more you know, the more you win. It doesn't take some, like, first person shooter god to come into this game and just destroy. All you really need is a mind that's curious, that's going to eat up all the information there is about the game. Because while it is a simple game, there is still a lot of information, nuances to the movement, nuances to the engine that it runs in, nuances to different mechanics like that you pick up the more you play. But, someone like me matching against someone who has only played 200 matches of Unite, who just got into Master Cup, it isn't really fair for either of us.
Right. Like, your experience is diminished because you don't feel like you're getting a good competitive matchup. And of course, they feel like they don't have any real estate to breathe in because, playing against that level disparity is obviously incredibly suffocating, of course. So let's kind of ride this wave a little bit. The Peekmp wish list, a couple things just off the top of your head. Doesn't have to be an official ranking or number 1, then number 2 or anything. But what are some things that you think can help? Hey, Pokemon Unite is good. I enjoy it. I want it to transcend. How do we do that?
Yeah. I think the one thing that would actually substantially fix this game, you don't need to do anything to matchmaking. Well, except for make it actually match within a range. But, like, it's not the issue. Like I said, the issue is, like, player-based education. People just, like, don't know how to play. But the game lends itself to those players still winning, right? Because even if they don't know how to play,
Zapdos flip, baby.
Exactly. So my biggest issue with the game is that the death timer mechanic is trash. The death timer in this game is a function of level, points scored, kills, and time of the game. Like, is it before 8 minutes? Is it before 1 minute?
Yep.
Or no, it's wait. It's 5. It's 5, 2, and 1, I think. Well, I don't know. It's you play enough to where you know if you're gonna be dead for a long time or not.
Yeah.
It's my biggest issue with this game, the death timer mechanics, because, and this was part of my long essay in both March 2021 and, like, all the other surveys they've sent out since the game's been out. The biggest problem with this game is that a team that team fights far superior to the enemy team can still lose. I don't think there's any MOBA where you can, with the exception of, like, a global ultimate, like being sent from base off a respawn, right? But, like, because Pokemon Unite's map is A, so small, and B, the death timers for the losing side are typically much shorter than those who are performing well, you end up having to win multiple team fights as the team that's ahead, and that just makes pretty much no sense for an end game objective to not be determined by a team fight. It really shouldn't be the case that level 15 Cinderace, wins the team fight against the team with a level 13 Cinderace. The 13 Cinderace has, because of its level, because it hasn't scored any points during the match, because it hasn't gotten any kills during the match, has a super short death timer, whereas I have about 17 to 20 more seconds if I die
Right.
on my death timer. And let's say like I'm the only one who dies on my team. There's still 4 alive on my team, but the fact that now my team's outnumbered because the 5 on the enemy team, like, that's my issue. That's my issue. The game's team fights need to have a lot more weight to them. Like, things need to have consequence. Gameplay has to have consequence for a game to feel good and balanced. As it stands right now, the biggest balance issue is really just the fact that nothing you really do has that much weight until it doesn't really matter anymore. So yeah, my biggest problem is truly the death timers, because I think team fights are so awesome in this game. If they were just the deciding factor, then it would be really cool, I think.
Does fixing, and the short form answer here, does fixing the death timer alleviate the complaints that we hear about Zapdos all the time?
It would alleviate the complaints about Zapdos, and it would also majorly alleviate the matchmaking complaints that a lot of people have. Because like I said, I don't think the matchmaking is the issue. I think it's the actual game design issue, unfortunately. It's harder to change, sadly. But those players who, like I mentioned before, would like win those one-off games, right? Mm-hmm. They just wouldn't win. They wouldn't climb. So they would fall into a pocket, which is how it works in literally every other game.
Sure.
You know, if you lose the big end game objective team fight, you're unfortunately going to lose the match. You don't progress. The other team has players that played that fight better, so they climb up in the ranks. So everyone begins to fall into their little pockets. As it stands right now, everyone and their mom who plays Unite is in master rank at a pretty close margin, especially after the recent change of how you just get like so many points now for winning, and so few loss from losing. It becomes like this mesh pool of the game. The game legitimately can't distinguish me from a newer player, even though I have like a ton more games played than them, have a higher win rate, but like it doesn't really take that into account. It's strictly just like this person also wins. This person who also only played a few games has also won a lot, so we're gonna match them. But it just shouldn't happen.
And when you explain it, if we can use the inflection point here as the death timer, I mean, I know that's a game design in theory, but that again, safety
should
net
be a
myself
simple
here.
Switch.
Yeah, a safety net here. I have no clue how game design works, not even a little bit. I'm not even going to open that can of worms. But it does seem like something that would be, on the game design side, one of the easier things to work, like hammer out.
I think
You'd think.
I think so.
So what's the future of Peek here? I mean, the world champions have been announced. Obviously, you want to diversify what you're offering to your viewers and to those that follow you and you know, love you as a content creator. But the biggest thing I think that kind of I saw going through your content and just what I know of you service level, never really joined a team and really wanted to be into that competitive scene. You were more content with, again, being kind of the Pokemon Unite professor, donning the lab coat and trying to learn people through this so they can go do that. Why is that? Why have you never jumped into the competitive scene?
It's a function of a couple things. One is just, especially the past few months, have been incredibly busy for me in real life. I started a new job. I moved. I had 2 weddings in the family, not my own, but just a cousin and my sister. And it was just like this whole flurry of things. And you'll even see, like, I pretty much stopped putting out videos as much too, because I just couldn't handle it, frankly. And you know, the frustrations you've probably seen that I have and heard me voice like during our interview about the game have also like what's the right word, discouraged me from, you know, being as active as maybe I originally wanted to be, and stuff like that. It's also a function, this is part 2, of not feeling like I can find 4 other players who, not to say are not on the same level as me, but
I'll say it.
That's
four other
part of
players
it.
that aren't on the same level as you.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, that's not.
I need 4 teammates that I can rely on as much as I rely on myself. And I never really saw that in a lot of people. So
Is there
again, I guess that one's actually arrogant, but I mean,
so what about
is
trying
what
to
it is,
get
ladies
what
and
about
gentlemen.
trying to be like, okay, 2 questions here. Why not
Oh,
try
I
and
do have a
hit?
part 3 actually.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, let's nah.
Yeah, but
What's the best one?
ask the
Let's go part
question.
3.
Ask the question. It's a zinger. It's a zinger. The part 3 is a zinger. So ask the question.
Part 3 is the thing. Okay. Of course, it's a 2-parter. Obviously, I can't just
Love it.
sandbag you with one. So, is the consideration ever to go to one of these teams that is in the competitive scene that could use your knowledge and kind of become a coaching aspect, and that way you gain the pride of kind of what you've always been trying to do is elevate the competitive scene, but doing it with already a structure of 5 individuals or 6 individuals that are willing to spend the time to improve and be competitive. And the second part of that is, what about doing the Peek and Amateur show where you go find 4 people and then you coach them up and say, hey, I can't rely on you now, but I'll make a man out of you, Mulan style, and you work them through the montage and get them to where you need them to be so that you can be in the competitive space as well.
So I'm just gonna flat out say this: this game is not competitive enough to warrant a coaching staff for any team. I think,
Okay.
or a coach. I don't think it's.
But if you're looking for one, hit up Peek.
I mean, you can, but like, I'm just only gonna tell you what you're doing wrong a bunch of times until you do it right. Unfortunately, because this game doesn't have like draft picks, this game has such little variety in the current like meta picks, especially that you see in tourneys. There's like 9 Pokemon that are actively played. I just don't think it's that. I don't think it has the competitiveness that you would see in other games that would warrant having a coach on your team. So if you want me, sure, reach out. Probably say no like I have to other people, but shoot your shot. To your second point, I am potentially considering entering the March Open qualifier, the first announcement to the public, with a group of players that don't play Unite.
Okay, so when you say don't play Unite,
They
I feel
play
like
other games.
I was just about to say those words were chosen very, very specifically, and I'm assuming there are a lot of people with at least knowledgeable of MOBA backgrounds, maybe League of Legends or something like that.
Yeah, that's about all I'll say on that. But it's possible. I don't know. I frankly, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even know if I want to do it. Just because I'm not sure. I'm not sure that my own interest is there. Like I said, with my issues with the game, it might not necessarily be something I want to do. However, I am probably trying to force myself to see it in more of like this will be fun, and just kind of see what happens more than like taking it too seriously. Because like I said, I don't think it's too competitive of a game. So yeah, we'll see. Stay tuned for that.
It's always
you
fun
may see me enter the March Open qualifier and get first. You never know.
It's always fun to be a bracket buster either way.
I think it would be like kind of like sound like a Rocky moment. Like the Peekster comes in, frags out the open qual.
The Peekster. Let's go.
We'll see. We'll see if I get the rust. Like I said, the biggest issue for me is finding 4 players that I actually trust to do well. So that has always been the struggle, the biggest struggle.
Well, if the Peeksters or whatever join the march and you need a Mick in your corner, just bringing you water, if you're feeling a little banged up, getting that cut above the eye, doobsnax got you, buddy. Doobsnax got you.
All right.
Let's hit that third point. Let's hit that third point, though. You said it was a
that was the third point. That was the announcement.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. I'm glad I asked my question first. Well, actually, you made me ask my question first. Who's really running the show here? It's probably I can't not call you the Peekster now. I feel
it's a term of endearment we use for me when I go off a little bit on stream.
Well, I'm loving this Peekster energy for certain. I'm not gonna lie to you, Peekster. We've been chipping at this for an hour already, if you can believe it. So let's start winding this thing down a little bit here.
Sounds good.
Let's just talk about just short-term future. Let's say to the World Championships for Unite, because I think it would be a bad space to kind of completely pull away, especially with that being the climate of the game itself going on right now. What does your content layout look for that in terms of the aspect of coaching, the competitive scene, and trying to get new players on board, to get that casual scene built up?
I haven't thought about that actually, because I have not really been in the headspace to make anything, but I'm getting there. I'm definitely, getting there. So that is a good thing to think about. A lot of people in the space already kind of, like VOD review the tournament matches. I know historically, like early on in my channel, a lot of people really enjoyed when I would just talk through the decision making of a game. I think honestly, like as a Unite content creator community, we've all kind of gotten away from that because a lot of the games are so similar, right? Like the games start kind of meshing and looking the same just because of the way the game is and it being so short. But I don't know. I definitely want to for sure cover any like actual Pokemon broadcast event, which I believe, I don't know for sure. I'm not like under NDA or anything. I'm just like shooting from the hip on this one. I do think that it sounds like from this like Twitter announcement thing they did today, that at least I think hopefully they're gonna stream the February finals, whatever it's called, the February Cup, this weekend. So yeah, I definitely want to at least review that. I don't know if I'm gonna obviously go over every match. Of course I'm not, but that's definitely something I want to do in the future. And I think like the more I've been thinking about it recently, like I said, I just haven't really been feeling the creative juices flowing. And that's just due to a number of IRL factors I don't need to get into. But I think something that I've been thinking about has been I just need to like get back to what made me me, and that was just teaching people about the game, kind of like you said. And I think this is helpful for me just talking to you to like even remembering Ninjala, like rediscover that part of myself and think about that a lot more, because I do think it's at least in this game for sure, my understanding of it like lends itself to being able to help people make sense of the things coming in from a perspective for someone who may not be as familiar with the term. So yeah, I think more educational content you can expect from my channel, and definitely like the cup matches, at least like top 4. We'll definitely look at those. I mean, I always watch the tournaments. I stay up to date with this stuff. I don't make videos on it, but I watch them every weekend. It's the majority of my Saturdays and Sundays is watching tournaments for this game, just so like I feel like I understand everything to like my own brain's desired amount, which is a lot. I expect a lot of myself, and want to keep sharp on that. So yeah, I don't know. I'd say that's what you could expect from me. Like I said, I kind of want to try speedrunning Pokemon Emerald. I have some things that are actually shipping tomorrow, so I may start learning that. Could be fun. We'll see how that goes, and yeah.
Sometimes
that's what I'm thinking.
Sometimes a little switch up brings a breath of fresh air for sure. And I on a personal front, and I'm very happy to hear that you're not completely pivoting away from Unite, and it's at least going to be kept in the holster for the Peekster. So I like hearing that. Something
like I said, I mean, I'll never stop playing Unite. I mean, I guess unless it goes bye, which I suppose eventually would have to happen, but I imagine they'll just port it to the next gen of Nintendo console. Probably won't make it 2 consoles, but I'm sure it'll make it 1 more console.
Yeah, that at least seems like a reasonable guesstimate.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to thank you for is matching your background lights to the layout that I have for Late Night Unite, which is literally blue
Couldn't
and
have planned it
pink.
better.
Blue and pink neon. It looks phenomenal. Peek, I'm going to give you just open floor. Anything you want to plug, your stream schedule, YouTube channel, Twitter, and Instagram, Peekmp. If you're out there, we're looking for you,
dude. If you're Peekmp on TikTok watching this,
TikTok,
bro,
that's it.
Please, I DM'd you. It won't let me because you have like your DMs closed, brother. Please.
And if anybody knows Peekmp on TikTok, let us know. Make this happen.
If they're your friend, make it go viral. Make it go viral with it. Well, I just want to thank you for being a stellar host. It was super fun, like I said, to kind of explore these topics that I haven't even allowed myself, frankly, to think about for the longest time. Just because it's always like right now, right here. But I think it's helpful to reflect on the past and see where I've come and just think about what that could and should mean for the future. So seriously, thank you. I appreciate that and appreciate you having me. Please go follow my Twitter. That's the place. That's the place where I want people to follow me. I don't even care if you're subbed to me on YouTube anymore. I don't care about following me on Twitch. If you're on my Twitter, please, twitter.com/Peekmp. It's that simple. So yeah, go follow me on Twitter. I post all sorts of Unite news, memes. I have notifications on for all that stuff. So even if I don't post videos and stream all the time, I am very, very active on Twitter. And as soon as news comes out for anything related to Unite, I'm always rapid fire on that. So yeah, good one-stop shop for Unite stuff is my Twitter. And of course, funny meme videos as they come. This game definitely lends itself to funny situations. So I try to provide both informational and humorous content on the Twitter app. But yeah, I think that's about it. Like, I just want to thank everyone who came from my channel and my stuff to Unite Mics. Definitely keep watching Unite Mics. A great resource for just staying involved in the community and the figures that I guess shape the current scene. And yeah, just want to thank everyone for tuning in, for supporting me. Like I said, like I was talking about how this was kind of like something that I always dreamed of doing. As a kid, as a teenager, seeing like Justin.tv, like the first Games Done Quick. Like I saw that stuff as a teenager and I thought it was so cool. And this was just something I always wanted to do. As someone with a performing arts background, there's like legit nothing that makes me happier than knowing that I'm helping people, knowing that I'm entertaining people, and knowing that I'm just helping them have a fun time. Because I know that content does that for me, and it's truly been a dream come true with the help of my viewers, you guys, to make this happen. So thank you guys so much for that.
Peek, again, I can't thank you enough for joining me here on Late Night Unite. At Peekmp on Twitter and everything but TikTok, and we looking for you, Peekmp on TikTok.
Looking for you, man.
But just a big shout out to everybody that's here, that tuned in, of course, for this conversation here. Please make sure you follow the Twitch stream, you subscribe on YouTube, do all that stuff for us to help us grow a little bit. We are the 1K Andy YouTube channel right now, but I think we are producing some pretty unique content for Pokemon Unite. We're one of the only channels that is getting 2 people in the booth and really doing a true tournament-esque esports style coverage of these matches to really give it that feel and help it elevate it to the level that I think Peek and I both agree that it can get to, with a little TLC from not only the community but the content creators and as well as the developers. So that being said, one more thing. Thursday night, we're going to have an episode of Overdung. Zoinks is going to be bringing that to you. Watch our Twitter our Twitter for that, at Unite Mics. But finally, I'm out of saliva and I'm done talking. So on behalf of Peek, I'm doobsnax. This has been Late Night Unite, and we will catch you next time. Peace, love, and hugs. Thank you.